The ground shook as another bomb hit nearby. Bits of dirt and rock fell from the ceiling of the bunker. Ju-ri Kim did not flinch. At 14 years old, she had seen too much to be scared of mere explosions. "Status report," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. 6 faces looked back at her in the dim light. They were all older than her, but they looked to her for orders. 3 years of war had made Ju-ri their leader. "East side is holding," said Han, wiping blood from a cut above his eye. "But they keep coming." Ju-ri nodded. The Arcani aliens had been attacking their colony world of New Home for days now. This was their biggest attack yet. "Ammo check," she ordered. The numbers were bad. Very bad. They had enough for maybe 2 more hours of fighting. The Arcani would overrun them soon after that. Ju-ri pulled up the map on her wrist computer. The small blue dots showed her squad's position. The red wave around them was the Arcani force. Behind them was the colony's main shelter, where 5,000 people were hiding. If her squad fell, those people would die. "We need to hold for 8 more hours," she said. "Earth fleet will be here by then." No one said what they were all thinking. Impossible. Ju-ri stood up. Her body ached from 3 days without sleep. Old scars pulled tight across her skin as she moved. "I know what you're thinking," she said, "but remember Hillside Ridge. The mines at Sector 12. We made it then. We'll make it now." She looked at each face, memorizing them again, just in case. "Today we save New Home," she said. "Move out." They climbed to their positions along the ridge. The sun was rising over the broken landscape. In the valley below, thousands of Arcani troops were gathering for another attack. The aliens were tall and 4-armed, their skin like polished metal that glinted in the sun, beautiful and deadly. Ju-ri adjusted her rifle scope. Her first kill had been an Arcani soldier when she was 11. She still remembered how her hands had shaken. They didn't shake anymore. "Focus on their commanders," she told her squad through her comlink. "The ones with red markings." The Arcani began to move forward. "Wait," Ju-ri said. "Wait, now." Her squad fired as one. The front line of Arcani fell, but more came. Hours passed in a blur of firing, reloading, and moving to new positions. Ju-ri's muscles burned. Her eyes stung from sweat and smoke. By midday, 2 of her squad were dead. By evening, another was badly wounded. Their ammo was almost gone. "Last clips," Han reported. Ju-ri checked her wrist computer again. The Earth fleet was still an hour away. "We hold," she said simply. The Arcani charged again. Ju-ri and her remaining squad members fired their last rounds. Then they fought with knives. Ju-ri stabbed and dodged. An Arcani blade sliced her arm open, but she barely felt it. She had to keep fighting. Keep them away from the shelter. Just as the largest Arcani she had ever seen knocked her to the ground, the sky lit up. Earth ships were breaking through the clouds, firing at the Arcani forces. The ground shook with new explosions. The Arcani began to retreat. Ju-ri tried to stand but couldn't. Her body had finally given up. She had been awake for 4 days straight, fighting for 3. Han limped to her side. "We did it," he said in wonder. "We actually held." Ju-ri wanted to reply, but darkness was closing in around her vision. Medical teams in white suits were running toward them from the shelter. Above, more Earth ships were landing. "The war," Ju-ri managed to ask. "It's over," said a medic who reached her first. "Earth and the Arcani have signed a peace treaty. You're going home, soldier." Home. Ju-ri had no memory of home anymore, only fighting. As they lifted her onto a stretcher, the news spread across the battlefield. The war was finally over. Ju-ri Kim, 14 years old, closed her eyes and let unconsciousness take her at last. She had been a soldier for 3 years. Now she just needed to remember how to be a person. Ju-ri Kim stood very still as the transport ship landed. Through the window, she could see Earth for the first time in her life. She was 15 now. The doctors had kept her in the space hospital for months. Her body had healed, but they kept saying things about her mind needing time too. Juri did not understand. Her mind worked fine. It was made for war, and she had been good at war. The ship doors opened with a soft hiss. Juri picked up her small bag. Everything she owned fit inside. A uniform, some medals, a knife she had hidden from the doctors. "Are you ready?" asked the social worker beside her. Juri nodded once. She did not waste words. Outside, the Seoul spaceport was bright and loud. People moved everywhere, talking and laughing. No one was watching for danger. No one carried weapons. It made Juri's skin feel tight. There should be guards. Lookouts. These people were not safe. Juri. A woman waved from behind a barrier. Next to her stood a tall man. Both had kind faces that looked nervous. "Your aunt and uncle," the social worker said. "Hey Newell and Taiwan Lee." Juri walked toward them. They were her mother's sister and her husband. Juri had never met them. Her parents had died when the Arcani first attacked New Home. She had been 11 then. Newell moved forward and then stopped, uncertain. "We're so happy you're here," she said. Juri nodded again. The woman wanted to hug her. Juri could tell. But Juri did not know how to hug anymore. "Thank you for accepting me into your home," she said. The words were stiff. The doctors had told her to say them. "Of course," said Taiwan. He reached for her bag, then froze when Juri's body tensed. "Sorry. I can carry it," Juri said. She never let go of her things. That was how you survived. They walked to a car. Juri checked all angles as they moved. Old habits. The crowd bothered her. Too many places for enemies to hide. But there were no enemies now. She had to remember that. The car moved silently through the city. Juri watched buildings pass. No bomb damage. No defense towers. Just clean glass and bright signs. "Your room is all ready," Hey Newell said, trying to fill the silence. "We painted it blue. The social worker said you might like blue." Juri had no favorite color. Colors didn't matter in war. "Thank you," she said because that seemed right. "And school starts next week," Taiwan added. "But only when you feel ready." School. Juri had not been in a school since she was 11. What did people learn there? Not how to fight. Not how to stay alive. The car stopped at a tall building. They took an elevator up. Juri counted exits and hiding spots out of habit. The apartment was large and clean. Windows everywhere. Juri did not like the windows. Snipers could see through windows. "This is your room," Hey Newell said, opening a door. The room was blue. A bed with soft blankets. A desk. Bookshelves. A screen on one wall. It looked nothing like the bunkers and camps where Juri had lived for years. "We can change anything you don't like," Taiwan said quickly. Juri placed her bag on the bed. "It's fine," she said. Her aunt and uncle looked at each other. They were trying so hard. Juri could see that. But they were afraid of her too. Everyone was afraid of her now. The child hero of New Home. The girl who had led soldiers when she should have been in school. "We'll let you rest," Hey Newell said. "Dinner is in an hour." They left, closing the door softly. Juri stood in the center of the blue room. It was quiet. No explosions. No alarms. No wounded people calling for help. She did not know what to do with such quiet. Outside the window, the city of Seoul stretched far away. Millions of people living without fear. Juri touched the metal pinned to her jacket. Then she began to check the room for escape routes. Old habits died hard, and she was not sure if she was home yet. Juri stood at the school gate. Students pushed past her, laughing and talking. No one noticed how she studied the building with sharp eyes, looking for exits, checking for threats. 1 week on Earth, and everything still felt wrong. "You don't have to go today," Hey Newell had said that morning. "You can wait until you feel ready." But Juri knew she would never feel ready. Better to face this new battlefield now. She walked through the gate. Inside, she felt eyes turn to her. Whispers followed. Word had spread that the famous child hero of New Home was starting school today. Juri kept her face blank. She had learned long ago not to show fear or pain. The main office was easy to find. A woman smiled too brightly at her. "Juri Kim. We're so honored to have you here. I misses you, the school director." She held out a paper. "Here's your schedule. Your first class is history." Juri took the paper. She memorized the room numbers and times, just like a mission briefing. The hallways were crowded, too many people moving around her. Juri's hands felt empty without a weapon. She found her classroom and chose a seat in the back corner. Back to the wall. Good view of the door and windows. The same position she would take in any room. Other students filed in. They stared at her. Some pointed. Juri heard her name whispered. The teacher, a tall man with glasses, started talking about Earth history. Juri listened carefully. On New Home, they learned about the colony's short history. Earth's history was much longer and more complex. Then the teacher dropped a heavy book. The loud bang echoed through the room. Juri was under her desk in an instant, body tight, hands reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. Her mind screamed. Attack. Incoming fire. The classroom went silent. Slowly, Juri became aware of where she was. Not on New Home. Not under attack. In a classroom on Earth. She stood up slowly. Her face burned hot with shame. The teacher looked pale. "I'm so sorry, Miss Kim. I didn't think." "It's fine," Juri said flatly. She sat back down. But it wasn't fine. Everyone was staring now. Some students had their phones out, recording. The famous child hero, diving for cover at a falling book. By lunchtime, the video was all over the school's social feeds. Juri sat alone in the cafeteria. She ate quickly and efficiently. Food was fuel, nothing more. "Is this seat taken?" A boy stood by her table. He had friendly eyes and a small smile. "No," Juri said, suspicious. Was he here to take more videos? "I'm Dahyun Park." He sat down across from her. "You're in my history class." Juri nodded. "School can be tough even without everyone staring at you," he said. "Want me to show you around? The library is pretty quiet if you need a break from all the noise." Juri studied him. No phone in his hands. No smirk on his face. Just a normal offer. But normal was what Juri couldn't understand anymore. "Why?" she asked. Dahyun looked confused. "Why what? Why help me? What do you gain from it?" He blinked, surprised by the question. "Nothing, I guess. Just being nice." Being nice, without expecting anything back. The concept felt alien to Juri. In war, everything had a price. Every action had a purpose. "You don't have to trust me," Dahyun said. "But the offer stands." The bell rang. Students began moving to their next classes. Juri gathered her things. "The library," she said finally. "Show me after school." Dahyun smiled. "Sure thing. I'll meet you by the front steps." As she walked to her next class, Juri wondered if this was a mistake. On New Home, trust could get you killed. But this wasn't New Home. And maybe learning to trust was part of being a normal teenager. Whatever normal meant. The sun was just coming up when Juri began her morning patrol. She slipped out of her aunt and uncle's apartment without making a sound. They were still asleep. They would worry if they knew she did this every day. But old habits kept you alive. Juri walked the perimeter of the apartment building. She checked dark corners and noted which cars had been there yesterday and which were new. After 3 complete circles, she felt better, safer. Back in the apartment, she found Hey Newell in the kitchen. "You're up early," her aunt said. "Hungry?" Juri nodded. She didn't tell Hey Newell about her patrol. Civilians didn't understand. "Your appointment with Dr. Yoon is after school today," Hey Newell reminded her. "I can pick you up and drive you there." Dr. Min Ji-yoon was Juri's counselor. The government insisted all returned child soldiers see a counselor twice a week. "I'll walk," Juri said. She preferred to move on her own. Cars felt like traps. At school, Juri noticed everyone watching her again. The video of her diving under the desk had gone viral beyond the school now. The media was calling it a heartbreaking glimpse into the mind of a child soldier. Juri hated that phrase. She wasn't broken. She was trained. In the hallway, she saw Da-hyun talking with friends. He spotted her and waved. "Juri, we saved you a seat in science class." She nodded and followed him. After showing her the library yesterday, Da-hyun had asked simple questions about life on Nuvom. Not about the war. About normal things. What foods they had. What the weather was like. It was nice. Science class was in a large room with tables instead of desks. The teacher, Mr. Kang, had many strange tools on his desk. "Today we'll learn about chemical reactions," he said. "I'll show you a demonstration first." He mixed 2 liquids in a beaker. Then he added a third. The mixture bubbled, then bang. A small explosion shot up with bright colors and smoke. Before she knew what was happening, Juri was moving. She tackled Mr. Kang to the ground, covering his body with hers. She reached for a weapon that wasn't there. "Take cover," she shouted to the class. "Incoming." The room went silent. Then came the whispers and the phone cameras. Juri slowly realized what she had done. The teacher looked up at her in shock. She got up quickly and stepped back. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice flat. "I thought." But she couldn't explain. How could they understand that explosions meant death where she came from? "It's all right," Mr. Kang said, standing up and brushing himself off. "My fault. I should have warned everyone." But Juri could see his hands shaking. He was afraid of her. She walked out of the classroom. She didn't run. Soldiers didn't run unless there was a tactical reason. Da-hyun found her 30 minutes later, sitting on a bench outside. "The principal wants to see you," he said, "but she's not angry." Juri nodded and stood up. "Wait," Da-hyun said. "We're having a study group tonight. At my house. You should come." Juri stared at him. "Why would you want me there? After what just happened?" Da-hyun shrugged. "Because you're interesting. And smart. And you need friends, even if you don't think you do." Friends. Juri had comrades before. Fellow soldiers. But friends. "Think of it as a recon mission," Da-hyun suggested with a smile. "You can observe normal team behavior up close." That made sense to Juri. Gather intelligence. Learn how to blend in. "What time?" she asked. 7. I'll text you the address." Later, sitting in Dr. Yoon's office, Juri described what happened in science class. "These reactions are normal," Dr. Yoon said gently. "It's called PTSD. It's not a weakness," Juri said firmly. "It's training. Training keeps you alive." Dr. Yoon nodded. "In war, yes. But you're not in war anymore, Juri. Now these reactions hurt more than help." Juri looked out the window. "I'm going to a study group tonight." For the first time since coming to Earth, Dr. Yoon smiled widely. "That's wonderful news, Juri. A very brave step." "Brave?" Juri almost laughed. She had led charges against Arcane battle tanks. How could sitting with other teens be brave? But somehow, it felt scarier than any battle. Juri stood outside Da-hyun's door at exactly 7:00 p.m. Not a minute early, not a minute late. Punctuality was important in the military. She had changed clothes 3 times, trying to look normal. In the end, she wore plain jeans and a blue sweater that Hey Newell had bought her. She knocked firmly. Da-hyun opened the door with a smile. You came. Come in. Everyone's in the living room. Ju-ri stepped inside, automatically checking exits and cover positions. The apartment was larger than her aunt and uncle's. Big windows, open space, tactically unsound but nice to look at. 3 other teens sat around a low table covered with books and tablets. Everyone, this is Ju-ri, Da-hyun said. Ju-ri, this is Soo-min, Hyun-ki, and Ji-woo. Soo-min had bright eyes and a quick smile. She waved eagerly. The famous Ju-ri Kim. I've wanted to meet you since you came to our school. Hyun-ki barely looked up from his tablet. He had messy hair and glasses. Hey, he said quietly. Ji-woo had colorful clips in her hair and paint stains on her fingers. Welcome to the chaos, she said. We pretend to study, but mostly just complain about teachers. Ju-ri sat down in the empty space. She wasn't sure what to say or do. This was nothing like military briefings where everyone had a clear role. We're working on the history project, Da-hyun explained. About the war. Ju-ri tensed. Of course they would ask about the war. That's why they wanted her here. But Soo-min surprised her. We're focusing on civilian experiences, what it was like on Earth during the fighting. My dad lost his job when the spaceports closed, Hyun-ki said, finally looking up. We had to move to a smaller place. Food rationing was the worst, Ji-woo added. My little brother cried every night because there wasn't enough. We had blackouts all the time, Da-hyun said. To hide from Arcani scouts, sometimes for days. Ju-ri listened carefully. She had never thought much about how the war affected Earth. On New Home, they were fighting for survival every day. Earth seemed so far away and safe. What about you? Soo-min asked gently. We know you were on the front lines. But was there anything normal? Any good memories? Ju-ri almost said no. There was nothing good about war, but then a memory came to her. My 13th birthday, she said slowly. We were hiding in a bunker. No supplies had come for weeks. But my squad, they saved little things for me. The others leaned forward, listening. Han gave me an energy bar he had been saving. Soo-jin found an old music player, and Tae-min drew a picture of Earth, even though he had never seen it. Ju-ri swallowed hard. She had never told anyone this story. We sat in that dark bunker and pretended it was a party. They sang to me. For a few minutes, we forgot about the war. The room was quiet. Then, Ji-woo spoke. That's what humans do, right? Find moments, even in the worst times. Ju-ri nodded. She felt strange. She had talked about the war without discussing tactics or casualties, just a small human moment. They studied for an hour after that. Ju-ri helped with facts about New Home and the colony's history. The others worked on their parts of the project. It felt normal. When they took a break for snacks, Ji-woo sat next to Ju-ri. I do art therapy at the community center, she said. It helps with stuff. Bad memories, you know. You should try it sometime. I don't know how to draw, Ju-ri said. That's not the point. It's about getting feelings out when words don't work. Ju-ri thought about all the feelings locked inside her. The ones Dr. Yoon kept asking about. The ones that made her check perimeters and dive for cover. When? She asked. Tomorrow after school. I go every Tuesday and Thursday. Ju-ri nodded. I'll try. Later, walking home in the dark, Ju-ri realized something. For 2 whole hours, she hadn't thought about threats or exits or battle plans. She had just been a teenager doing homework with friends. It felt new, and scary, and good. The Seoul City Center was busy on Saturday afternoon. Ju-ri walked beside Hae-nul, watching the crowds. Her aunt had insisted they go shopping for new clothes. You need more than 3 outfits, Hae-nul had said that morning. Ju-ri didn't see why. On New Home, everyone wore the same uniform. Clean clothes were a luxury. How about this store? Hey Newell pointed to a bright shop with music playing inside. Ju-ri nodded. She was trying to be agreeable. Hey Newell and Taiwan were kind to her. They deserved her effort. They entered the store. Ju-ri felt lost among the racks of colorful clothes. Why did teens need so many choices? Newell held up a pink shirt with sparkles. What do you think? Before Ju-ri could answer, she saw something outside the store window. Something tall. Something with 4 arms. An arcane. Ju-ri's body went cold. Her vision narrowed to a tunnel. Her heart hammered so hard she could hear nothing else. The arcane was walking with human officials. Its metal-like skin gleamed in the sun. It wore formal clothes, not battle armor. But Ju-ri saw only the enemy. Ju-ri, what's wrong? Hey Newell's voice seemed far away. Ju-ri couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The world tilted. Darkness crept in at the edges of her vision. The last thing she heard was Hey Newell calling her name. Ju-ri woke up on a bench. A medical worker was checking her pulse. Hey Newell sat beside her, looking worried. What happened? Ju-ri asked. Her voice felt raw. You had a panic attack, the medical worker said. Your aunt caught you before you fell. Ju-ri remembered now. The arcane. There's a diplomatic delegation in town, Hey Newell explained softly. They're here for the peace talks. I'm so sorry. I didn't know they would be here today. Ju-ri sat up slowly. She felt weak, ashamed. Soldiers didn't collapse at the sight of the enemy. Miss Kim, a human official, stood nearby. Next to him was the arcane. Ju-ri stiffened, but this time she controlled her breathing like Dr. Yoon had taught her. This is Attaché Lyrax from the arcane diplomatic team, the official said. He saw what happened and was concerned. The arcane kept a respectful distance. He bowed his upper body slightly. Soldier Kim, he said in perfect Korean, I apologize for causing you distress. I recognize the signs of battle memory. Many of our veterans suffer the same. Ju-ri stared at him. The enemy was apologizing to her. And speaking of their own veterans, I lost my sibling in the battle for New Home. Lyrax continued. Many arcane families mourn, just as human families do. This made no sense to Ju-ri. The arcane were the invaders, the monsters who destroyed her home and killed her parents. If you would permit, Lyrax said, I would like to speak with you properly. At a time and place of your choosing, with any security you require. The official looked nervous. Attaché Lyrax believes that healing between our peoples must include those who fought, not just politicians. Ju-ri found her voice at last. Why? Why would you want to talk to me? Lyrax's 4 hands made a gesture that looked like sadness. Because many arcane opposed the war but could not speak against our military government. Because children on both sides suffered. Because peace is more than signed papers. Newell squeezed Ju-ri's hand. It's your choice, she whispered. Ju-ri thought of her squad, of her parents, of the burning buildings on New Home. Then she thought of Da-hyun and the others, studying civilian experiences of the war. Both sides had stories. Tomorrow, she said finally, at the Peace Garden in Central Park. At noon. Lyrax bowed again. Thank you, Soldier Kim. As the arcane walked away, Ju-ri felt something shift inside her. For 3 years, the arcane had been only the enemy. Targets to eliminate. Threats to survive. Now one had a name. And a lost sibling. And regrets. Are you okay? Hey Newell asked. No, Ju-ri answered honestly. But maybe that's okay too. For the first time, she wondered if peace might be possible after all. Not just on paper, but in her heart. Weeks passed. Spring turned to early summer. Ju-ri still checked perimeters each morning, but sometimes she forgot to scan for snipers when walking to school. She met with Lyrax 3 more times. Each meeting was hard but important. She learned that many arcane had been forced to fight by their military leaders. That Lyrax's family had hidden refugees. That peace had been what many on both sides wanted all along. Slowly, very slowly, Juri stopped seeing all Arcani as enemies. She went to art therapy with Ji Woo twice a week. Her paintings were dark at first, burning buildings, battle scenes, but recently she had painted the sunrise over Seoul. Dr. Yoon said that was progress. The study group met every Thursday at Dahyun's house. They worked on homework, but they also just talked. Juri was learning to join conversations, to laugh at jokes, to be still without being on guard. One morning in June, Juri looked at the calendar in the kitchen. The date was circled in red. "What's happening today?" she asked Hyunul. Her aunt smiled. "It's your birthday. You're 16 today." Juri had forgotten. On New Home, after her parents died, birthdays meant nothing. Just another day to survive. "Ta-won, and I thought you might want to have some friends over," Hyunul said carefully. "Just the study group. For cake, if you want." Juri thought about it. A normal teen activity. Something she had never experienced. "Yes," she said. "I would like that." Hyunul looked relieved. "Wonderful. I'll pick up a cake after work." At school, Juri didn't mention her birthday to anyone, but somehow the others knew. "Happy birthday," Sumin said when they met for lunch. "We're coming over at 7, Ji-woo told her. "Your aunt invited us." Juri felt strange, warm inside. People knew her birthday and wanted to celebrate it, not because she was a good soldier, but just because she existed. After school, Juri helped Hyunul and Taiwan prepare the apartment. They moved furniture to make space. They put out snacks and drinks. "Is this right?" Juri asked, setting plates on the table. Taiwan smiled. "It's perfect. Just relax and have fun." But Juri didn't know how to relax. She kept checking the time, planning what to say, wondering what would happen. At exactly 7 o'clock, the doorbell rang. "I'll get it," Juri said. She opened the door. No one was there. Confused, she stepped into the hallway. Suddenly, the apartment door shut behind her. She heard movement inside. Juri spun around, instantly alert. She tried the door. Locked. Then it opened, and the apartment was dark. Surprise! Lights flashed on. Loud voices shouted at once. In that split second, Juri's mind went to war. Ambush. Her body moved on its own. She launched forward, grabbing the nearest person, Hyun-ki, and taking him to the ground. Her arm went across his throat in a hold she had used 100 times on Arcani soldiers. "Juri, stop." Dahyun's voice cut through the fog in her brain. The room came into focus. Decorations, balloons, a cake with candles. Not an ambush. A surprise party. Juri released Hyun-ki instantly and backed away. Horror filled her as she realized what she had done. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." She turned and ran. Outside, she kept running until she reached a small park. The night air was cool. Stars shone overhead. Juri sat on a bench and buried her face in her hands. She had ruined everything. She had hurt her friend. She would never be normal. "Hey." She looked up. Dahyun stood there, slightly out of breath from running after her. "Go away," she said. "I could have killed him." "But you didn't," Dahyun said, sitting beside her. "You stopped yourself." They sat in silence for a while. "I don't know how to be a teenager," Juri finally said. "I only know how to be a soldier." Dahyun laughed softly. "Nobody knows how to be a teenager, Juri. We're all figuring it out as we go. You don't attack people at parties." "No, but I threw up at Ji-woo's dance party last year. And Hyun-ki set his pants on fire in chemistry class." Juri looked at him, confused. "What I mean is," Dahyun explained, "we all have our moments. Yours are just more intense." "Is Hyun-ki okay?" "He's fine. He thinks it's cool that he survived a takedown by the famous Ju-ri Kim. Da-hyun nudged her shoulder gently. Everyone's still there. The cake's waiting. Come back when you're ready. Ju-ri wiped her eyes. Maybe in a few minutes. I'll wait with you. As they sat under the stars, Ju-ri realized something important. All teens had their own battles. Hers were just more visible than most. Mr. Lee, the history teacher, stood at the front of the class. Your final projects are due next week, he reminded everyone. Remember, this is about personal histories during the war. Ju-ri looked down at her tablet. She had been putting off this project. Talking about the war was still hard, even after months on Earth. After class, Da-hyun caught up with her in the hallway. How's your project coming? He asked. I haven't started, Ju-ri admitted. You have the most interesting story of anyone, Da-hyun said. Why not talk to your old squad? Do they ever contact you? Ju-ri stopped walking. She hadn't thought of that. She had their contact information, but hadn't reached out. Part of her was afraid to know who had survived, and who hadn't. That's a good idea, she said quietly. That night, Ju-ri sat on her bed with her tablet. Her finger hovered over the first name. Han. She tapped the call button before she could change her mind. The screen lit up, and there he was, older with a new scar across his cheek, but it was Han. Commander, he said, his face breaking into a smile. I was hoping you would call someday. Not your commander anymore, Ju-ri said, but she smiled too. How are you, Han? They talked for an hour. Han was studying medicine on New Home. The colony was being rebuilt. He still had nightmares, but they were getting better. What about the others? Ju-ri finally asked, holding her breath. Soo-jin and Min-ho are here on New Home too. Tae-min is on Earth. Actually, in the western part. Jo-young. He paused. We lost her in the last battle. Ju-ri closed her eyes for a moment. She had known not everyone made it, but it still hurt. I'm doing a school project, she said, changing the subject. About the war. Could I interview you? And maybe the others? Han nodded. Of course. We've all wondered how you're doing, if you're finding peace. I'm trying, Ju-ri said honestly. Over the next few days, Ju-ri interviewed her former squad members. Each told their story of returning to civilian life. Some were doing well. Others struggled like her. Soo-jin had panic attacks at loud noises. Min-ho couldn't sleep without a weapon nearby. Tae-min had found help through sports, channeling his energy into something positive. During a study group session, Ju-ri shared what she had learned. My project is getting too big, she said. I have so many stories now. What about making it bigger on purpose? Da-hyun suggested. We could combine our projects. Compare experiences from different places. Colony worlds, Earth, maybe even the Arcani. A comparative study, Hyun-ki said, looking interested for once. That could work. We could interview more people, Soo-min added. My cousin was on a different colony. Jae-woo was already sketching ideas. We could include artwork too. Visual representations of different experiences. For the first time in a school project, Ju-ri felt truly engaged. This wasn't just homework. This was important. My former second-in-command said something that stuck with me. She told the group. He said I never let them give up during the war. And now it's my turn to not give up on peace. The project grew larger than they had planned. They interviewed dozens of people. Ju-ri even asked Lyrax for Arcani perspectives. When they presented their work to the class, the room was silent. Their presentation showed how the war had affected everyone differently, but how the desire for normalcy was universal. After class, the principal called them to her office. Your project was extraordinary, she said. The education department wants to use it. They think it could help bridge understanding between different communities affected by the war. You mean, like a teaching tool? Da-hyun asked. The principal nodded. Exactly. They want to develop it into a full curriculum module. On the way home, Jewry walked with her friends, thinking about what this meant. "You're changing how people see the war," Ji-woo told her, "and how they see veterans like you." Jewry had never thought she could do something important without a weapon. But this project might help others understand what she and her fellow soldiers had been through, what they still faced every day. For the first time, she felt her experiences in the war might serve a purpose beyond survival. They might help build a lasting peace. 1 year had passed since Jewry first arrived on Earth. The seasons had come full circle. It was spring again in Seoul. Jewry stood in front of her bedroom mirror. She looked different now. Her hair was longer, her face less tense, her eyes still watchful, but no longer constantly scanning for threats. She still had nightmares. She still checked exits in new places. She still dove for cover sometimes when planes flew too low. But other things had changed. "Jewry, you'll be late for art class," Hae-Nul called from the kitchen. "Coming." Jewry grabbed her bag filled with paints and brushes. Twice a week, Jewry went to the community center with Ji-woo for art therapy. Her paintings had evolved from dark war scenes to colorful landscapes. Sometimes she still painted new home, but now she showed it being rebuilt, new homes rising where old ones had fallen. Dr. Yoon said art helped Jewry process what words couldn't express. Jewry just knew it felt good to create something instead of destroying. At the community center, she met Ji-woo at their usual spot. "I brought a new canvas," Ji-woo said. "Something bigger for your sunset idea." As they painted, Jewry's phone buzzed. A message from Lirax, who had returned to the Arcani homeworld, but kept in touch. "The youth exchange program is approved." The message read, 5 human teens and 5 Arcani teens will spend a semester on each other's worlds next year. Your project helped make it happen. Jewry smiled. Their history project had grown far beyond a class assignment. It was now part of peace education in schools across Earth and the colonies. Even the Arcani were using parts of it. "Good news?" Ji-woo asked, noticing Jewry's smile. "The exchange program is happening," Jewry said. "Da-hyun should apply." "You should too," Ji-woo suggested. Jewry shook her head. "I'm not ready to leave Earth yet." And she wasn't. Earth had become home in a way she hadn't expected. After art class, Jewry met Soo-min and Hyun-ki at the school gym. Twice a week, she taught them basic self-defense. She had transformed her combat skills into something protective rather than destructive. "Remember, the goal is to get away safely, not to fight," she explained as she showed them how to break a hold. Hyun-ki had forgiven her long ago for the birthday party incident. Now he proudly told everyone that the famous Jewry Kim was his personal trainer. Later, at home, Jewry sat with her aunt and uncle for dinner. They talked about normal things, school, friends, plans for the weekend. "Your teacher called today," Tae-won said. "She says your grades are excellent now." Jewry nodded. Once she started applying herself to school, she found she was good at it, especially strategy games in math class. "And Dr. Yoon thinks we can reduce your sessions to once a week," Hae-Nul added. "She's very pleased with your progress." Progress, such a simple word for such a difficult journey. The next day at school, a new student arrived. Jewry noticed her immediately. The girl had the same watchful eyes, the same way of sitting with her back to the wall, the same flinch when someone dropped a book. Another veteran, from one of the other colony worlds. At lunch, Jewry saw the girl sitting alone. No one approached her. They were probably afraid, just as they had been with Jewry at first. Jewry picked up her tray and walked over. "Mind if I sit here?" she asked. The girl looked up, suspicious. "Why?" "Because I know that look," Jewry said simply. "I had it too. Still do sometimes." The girl studied her for a moment. "You're Jewry Kim. From New Home. And you're from Horizon Colony. I recognize the unit patch on your bag." The girl nodded. "Sun High Park. 3rd Defense Division." "It gets easier," Juri said as she sat down. Not perfect, but easier, and you don't have to figure it out alone. For the first time, Sunhee's face relaxed slightly. They say you tackled a teacher. Juri laughed. And a student. At my birthday party. A small smile appeared on Sunhee's face. I punched a wall when someone popped a balloon. Come on, Juri said, standing up. My friends are waiting. They know all about my weird soldier habits. They won't mind yours. As they walked toward the table where Dad-hyun and the others sat, Juri realized how far she had come. She would never fully leave behind the soldier she was at 14. Those experiences were part of her now. The nightmares might never completely stop. The reflexes might always remain. But at 16, she had found something she thought was lost forever. Normalcy. Friends. School. Art. Laughter. She was still a soldier in many ways. But now she was also just a teen.